Joseph Stiglitz, inequality has become a very big buzzword, and we're going to hear more of it as the presidential campaign drags on. But before we get your ideas for solving the problem, how deep is the Great Divide?
It's really big. America has more inequality than any of the other advanced countries. The top 1% gets for itself something between 20 and 25% of all the income. Inequality of wealth is even worse. There are 8 people from 2 families inherited their money that have as much wealth, those eight people from 2 families, as much wealth as the bottom 44% of America. And the worst part of inequality, I think, is inequality of opportunity. And America, again, excels. We have more inequality of opportunity than other advanced countries. That means the life chances of a young American are more dependent on the income and education of his parents than in virtually any of the other advanced countries.
Well, in the book, you trace this inequality back and you start at Reagan. Why do you start there? Because a lot of people would say that the Carter years and the malaise was much worse.
Well, what I've tried to identify, there's no precise moment in which things started turning. What we do know is the following, that the period after World War II through sometime between 76 and 1980, the country grew at a very rapid rate, and the country grew together. People at the bottom grew faster than those at the top, so inequality got reduced, and it was a period of fast economic growth. Then, beginning around 1980, a number of changes were made. It was a different economic philosophy. Reagan described it as supply-side economics. We had deregulation, which actually did begin under Carter, but was taken to a much further extent under Reagan, lowering tax rates at the very top. These economic reforms were supposed to bring higher economic growth. Many people recognized that it might lead to more inequality, but the theory was that the size of the national pie would get so much bigger that even though you were getting a smaller share, those at the bottom and middle would get a bigger slice. And that hasn't happened. Growth slowed, and today, for instance, median income, people right in the middle, half above, half below, is lower than it was a quarter century ago.
Well, the Reagan years also saw the beginnings of the opening up of China. How much has the rise of China dislocated the middle class here in the U.S.?
Well,
the global pie has gotten bigger.
Clearly, there have been many effects. My own feeling is in the period from 1980 to 2000, it was probably technology played a more important role. But both technology and globalization were supposed to make the country wealthier. These were big changes that should have made our growth even faster. We were taking advantage of lower cost of inputs. All of these changes should have actually enhanced the well-being of the typical American. That's how they were sold, by the way. But it didn't work out that way. And I think one of the reasons it didn't work out that way was precisely because of those changes that began around 1980.
So finally, is there a silver bullet for solving inequality here in the U.S.? What's it going to take?
There's no silver bullet. You know, you have something that's grown to the magnitude that it's grown in the United States, built up over a third of a century. It's going to take a concerted effort, a whole set of policies, not just redistribution, although there are certain, basic elements we ought not to be taxing people who speculate, say, on land to pay a lower tax rate than those who work hard for a living. By speculating land, you don't get more land. You just divert resources for more productive uses. So that's part of it. But it's only part of it. We have to strengthen education to make sure we have more equal transmission of advantages across generations. And we have to change the basic rules and regulations by which our economy functions. And that is a comprehensive reform. More active enforcement of antitrust laws, better corporate governance laws, better bankruptcy laws, our whole legal framework, which shapes our economy, explains why it is that while the forces of globalization, the forces of technology are universal, they're affecting every one of the advanced countries, why is it that in the United States we have more inequality and less equality of opportunity than the other advanced countries? And the answer is, it's how we shaped our economy.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching The Street.